was the orange one. Hello everybody, I'm Ellie Mechanical. I'll be honest, the LED strips didn't quite work out the way I expected, but after spending a whole video of my and your time trying to engineer it, I'm not quite ready to give up on it. That said, since the game is now otherwise back up to operation, I'm going to give this project a temporary rest so I can take care of some other things that have been waiting far too long. The footage of putting this thing together will wait until the conclusion video, whenever that happens. The problem with the light strip that we chose was its power requirements. It runs at 9 volts, but not particularly brightly. And as it turned out, theory versus practice came back to bite me, and the power supply that we created doesn't actually quite reach the threshold voltage I was expecting, so it pretty much didn't work at all. I did a brief search for a 5-volt light strip, just in the hope of saving that idea, but I found effectively nothing. At least nothing from suppliers that I actually respect. But with that in mind, last video opened with a derogatory comment about the world's blatant consumerism, and it would be hypocritical of me to give up after a single mass-produced LED strip didn't do the job. I have several ideas on how to engineer my own alternative that will run on 8.1 volts or so, and will in fact be brighter and better at coverage than this thing ever could have. Our custom framework won't be going to waste, nor will our custom power supply. With all that being said though, there was still plenty of standard pinball shop work left to be done after part 2. The first step of actually swapping the new Backbox into place was of course to disconnect the old one. One thing led to another, and all it took was a bit of motivation to get the electronics transferred to their new home. Now, for the System 11, they do have a bit of convenience here. This is the interconnect board, which everything that goes to the cabinet or the playfield plugs into this board instead of going all the way up through here and connecting to everything else. So we're going to start by disconnecting all this stuff. And there's like little tiny chunks of glass absolutely everywhere. So that's, you know, lots of fun. This is going to be our lamps. So those come out. That goes to the playfield and apparently snags on absolutely everything as I am taking it out. This can just get put out of the way somewhere. This goes down here and it comes out of this, and look, a couple of little pieces of glass. It's seriously littering the floor of this thing. Anyway, oh, and then there's a 12-volt connector right there. I assume these need to come out, so I do that. This cat then gets into the screen of you, the screen you're watching, not my screen. That's a camera. Probably just like everything that plugs into this board is going to go down there. Guess this was replaced. Nice. You know, the purpose of the interconnect board is so the wires don't have to go all the way up, and here it's going all the way up. That landed on my foot, whatever it was. I think it was this screw. I'll figure out where that goes later. It probably goes in one of these boards because I see at least a couple of missing screws. What else do we need? Okay, I'm going to open this. Free that from its nylon prison. This is going into the bottom. Oh, attaches here on the aux power driver. And attaches also on the aux power driver in several other places, as well as the knocker, which I'm struggling to reach a little bit. There.
And then the last thing is going to be probably, where was it? Here. I shouldn't say the last thing because I was just going to say it's probably not the last thing. And then indeed I found at least 2 more connectors that have to come off. So here's this one, and then the gray wires go up to the power supply. So I pull that off, and something just fell, and I think it was another piece of glass. And what else do we have going on here? Oh yeah, the speaker wire, which plugs in the soundboard, obviously. And then, are we finally free? I think we are. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to push these wires down here, unfortunately, and then just dig them back up when it's time to reassemble. Even if they are a bit annoying and unwieldy. A word which here means not very wieldy. Okay, and then the last thing, oh, I do have to take that off because it's got the ground strap going into the bottom. So let me just grab, logically I should be using perhaps an adjustable wrench. And where are my wrenches? They're down here. I could also use the actual size for this, which is either the red one, the blue one, or the purple one. Which one is it? Nailed it. And ground strap comes off. I wonder if I'll remember to plug that back in. At the very least, when I edit the video, I will remember it existed. Yeah, I think it is now going to be safe to pull this thing off. So I'm going to shut the insert panel. And I'm going to need, I think it's a 1/2 inch. This is not this, right? No, it's not. Okay. I think it was the 1/2 inch one. So let me grab that. The orange one's bigger, I think, so it's not that one. Must be this one, right? No, it's not. Okay. I spoke too soon. Which size is it supposed to be? Is it the orange? Wait, no, the orange one is smaller. And that's it. Okay. So, what I'm going to do is remove these. What I'm removing here are the side hinge straps that go down to the lower cabinet. They let the back box fold down for transport. And there's supposed to be 3 bolts on there, but there's only 2 because I guess one fell out. And then the other side has also 2 in different positions. I will have to replace the missing ones at some point. I might have spares that are like tumbled polished or something, so that should be fine. And let's take care of this. Oh, there goes the bolt. I should probably get a place to put those. Okay, so then we will adjust this. To be like that, then that comes right off. And amazingly enough, I learned to be careful on this side. Okay, stop rolling. That's annoying. Okay, that one comes off. It's actually like a brass, apparently, which is interesting. I thought it was not. And this is the last one right here. Oh, we still have this bolt holding it in. I only have one. I think I had not enough of these at the time that I was setting this game up, and so I just put one bolt in this one and one in something else. Also, funny thing I just noticed, now that I have this whole thing taken apart, this note here that says, important, attach ground strap from cabinet under wing nut, referring to this little peg right here that I had the ground strap on. This note is covered up by the plate that holds the hinge on. So all you'd be able to see when the game's fully assembled is Ortant, strap under. Now in the back of it there's a latch which has just been removed. And now in theory the only thing that should be holding this on, yeah, it is a bit more wobbly now, is this nut right here, this wing bolt. So I remove that. Anytime now. This bolt is way longer than it needs to be. It's like at least 3/4 of an inch extra. Why is it bent? I realize I should not have left that unattended with the bolt removed, but fortunately there were no disasters that happened. So this is going to stay like there, and that should be good enough. And I think we are now good for removal. So let's do that. Are we still attached to something, or is it just heavy? Okay, it's just heavy. And I'm a weakling. So let's see what it takes to get this off. My face was itchy. Oh. The correct solution to this is probably to get help. Just like the correct solution to getting this machine out of the trailer would have been to get help. I will stick with what I know. Now you might be looking at this and cringing, being like, you're going to damage your side rails. But the fact is I already damaged my side rails, you know, from dumping the machine upside down. I am eventually going to repair the cabinet, and I'm going to replace the rails.
Oh, that's heavy! Oh, that's heavy! Oh my god!
Okay, that probably would have been worth multiple camera angles, but I only have one camera set up so far. We'll talk about that later. Anyway, our game is now headless. The Black Knight is now a headless horseman, I guess. Now this is the part of the project where we're going to have to start test fitting some things. Now, I already tested this myself once off camera, and I love the way the game looks with the new backbox with the new backbox on it. But there's one small little issue. So the bolt holes, right, for the backbox bolts that I often forget to put in, I measured for them. I measured the distance from the bolt holes to, it was either the center or the outside, I can't really remember, but I measured it. And I drilled the holes exactly as my measurements went, and they don't line up, which is crazy. I've yet to make any mistakes on this project. So I'm going to have to drill some new backbox mounting holes. While I have the drill out, I will also make the holes for the side hinges, which I intentionally did not drill yet because I didn't know where specifically they were going to land. Since the backbox is unpainted on the bottom, this isn't really going to be an issue, visually speaking. And the flat portion of the hinge is kind of going to cover up any damage that might happen to the wood as a result of the drilling. Although, I will try and make sure it doesn't happen. And believe it or not, I'm even going to measure both sides to make sure I have it on straight. Me? Straight? Can you believe that?
So it turns out part of the bottom is painted, and it's the part that's going to make this not show up. So I'm gonna poke some holes in it instead. So there's one that I poked off center. Because, what was that I was saying? I'm smart. Hey, can you not? Anyway, with that taken care of, now we can drill the holes. So this is one of the bolts that we were going to use. I'm just going to find a drill bit that matches this size. However, it doesn't need to be exactly this size. It doesn't need to be a perfect tight fit. In fact, it's probably preferable that it be a bit bigger, just so that it doesn't give me trouble putting it in there. There's technically going to be super washers on both sides, one being the hinge brackets themselves and one being the internal brackets, these guys right here. So if the hole's a bit bigger, it's okay, but I'm not going to make it exaggeratedly big. You know, it occurs to me maybe I should be drilling smaller pilot holes first. That might be the smart thing. Now that we've finished making these small models of anthills, let's make some big ones. There's cobwebs on it. You know you're having problems with procrastinating when you realize your project has cobwebs in it. Now, if you're wondering why I didn't also cut the new holes for the bolts, there's sawdust in my eye somehow. Now, if you're wondering why I'm not also cutting the holes for the Backbox bolts, that's because I don't know exactly where they're going to be, and while the Backbox was in the exact correct position, I didn't think to mark that. So I'm going to mount it properly on the hinges, then I'll fold it down and drill the holes that way, after I have had a chance to mark where they go, which I believe I'll just do with a pencil stuck through the bottom of the neck. That sounds really painful. It's not. So you're going to have to move. I'm going to just have to like push you a little bit. Push, 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 baby. Push, baby. Okay, okay. Okay. I am so sorry about the noises I just made. I didn't drop it. There is sawdust all over the place. Can't help but be concerned now looking at this if this is... Okay, that's a huge relief. I was kind of worried, to be honest, at least when I'm consciously thinking about the situation. This Backbox is a little bit narrower than the previous one, and I couldn't help but worry I wasn't going to have space for either these or the hinge straps, and they're both fine. So let's get it mounted. There's 3 bolts. There's another one over here that I was testing with. And now, if you'll remember correctly, there were 2 missing ones. Let's fix that. Now, are these the same size? Probably could have checked that first. They're a little shorter, but I think they'll be okay, maybe. Let's try it first. I don't remember the original source of these, but I had a bunch of them, and I threw them in the tumbler along with some other stuff, and they came out looking decent. I'm gonna have to do a video on that sometime because it polishes like magic, and I've put together a number of fresh, new-looking assemblies using just some tumbling and maybe a tiny bit of manual polishing too. It's gonna be a questionable fit, but I think it will work. Where did the... Oh, here. Ah, not anymore. What's up with you? Oh. It got rotated somehow. That's what happened. Much better. And I had a driver for those somewhere. Which one was it? I think it was the blue one. I thought incorrectly. Could be purple, could be red, could be anything. Maybe it was the purple. I think it was the purple. No, it wasn't. Maybe it was the red one. Maybe I should shut up. What if... Well, what... It was the orange one. I probably shouldn't have tightened those yet, because I got to do the other side. I'll do the other side first. Probably would help if we brought it up there, wouldn't it? So here's the backdrop I was using for a video series that I took down because I didn't like YouTube's policies. Anyway, let's see how this works. Yeah, I gotta put the latch on next, but... Nice and smooth. Yeah, we gotta do the latch and we gotta cut the holes for the... How did I get this wrong? How did I get these holes wrong? Like, I measured them. I know I measured them. I wrote down the measurements. I drilled these in the same place. I have a pinbot cabinet. It's basically empty. My special force play field is sitting in it right now after I modified it to be able to sit in that cabinet. Could I have measured that one for the bolt locations? And they're different from this one? Because it's a different cabinet style. It's shallower. It's got the neck on it. If I did that, then I feel so stupid. Anyway, let's mark the holes. Also forgot I got to put the mesh up here. I didn't really forget. I know it was going to happen anyway, but I just think of things. Anyway, let's mark those. Is it going to be enough to just... Yeah, that part is genuinely unpainted, so I can just use the pen for that. So let's... the pen... It's too big to fit. Or I could have just forced it in.
Give me that soldering iron.
Surprisingly, I didn't break the lead. It's about 3/4 inch off in both directions. And now I want to know something. Where's my tape measure? Mine are just over 12 inches across. Give me a second. No, I'm just stupid. I don't know what I did wrong because everything else lines up. The hole is the same size for the wire access. The back box itself is the same width. And yet somehow I put the bolt holes in the wrong location. Anyway, it's an easy fix. Let's take care of that. This bit is a tiny bit bigger than the holes in the base and a bit smaller than the holes that I drilled. I don't actually remember how big the holes were in the actual back box, but this should be fine, especially since we specifically marked where they were. It doesn't fit in the drill. Now I could be using a Forstner bit to also make a really clean hole, but they're out in the garage and it's cold and it's dark and I don't feel like going out there right now. I can't really get the camera behind me or else I would have showed from that angle. I could have moved the machine, but I don't really feel like doing that either. So now I can put it back up like that. There's a couple more little anthills that I've built on the glass now. Anyway, I mean, there was a tiny bit of surface damage, but it really wasn't too bad. The biggest problem here is that when I open this thing up to show people, I'm going to embarrass myself by having an extra set of holes that are in the wrong place. But it'll work. Where's my my stuff? Oh, it's right here. Okay, does it fit? Is the T-nut missing from that side? Is that why there's only one bolt? Is the T-nut missing? Okay, I guess I need to buy another T-nut, but a giant one. Anyway, this bolt fits absolutely perfect. One of these pieces is in really nice shape, and the other one is not. Also, it's full of cat hair for some reason. I wonder what caused that. So anyway, here is the original latch plate from the old back box. It's got some scuffs on it for some reason. Not sure what caused that. I was going to put a new one on. I could have sworn I have a new one of these somewhere, but I looked through all my parts bins and I could not find it. So I'm going to stick with the one that was on there. I don't really think it's a big deal. It is behind the machine in the first place, and maybe it kind of tells a story. So I'm going to pre-drill them because I don't want the wood to split and I want it to be able to bite decently. And of course, I'm not going to use a big drill bit because I still want there to be some wood for it to grab onto. So let's see. Before I take care of anything else, I'm going to tighten this latch and bump the camera, apparently. It was a little bit loose. So that's been fixed. So let's see where we want it to go. Not on the floor. That's not where I want to mount this thing. So let's see where we actually want it. The latch position is right here. Technically, if I wanted, I could put it there, but I don't really want to. I want it to have a little bit of force pulling the back box downwards. So let's see. This hangs about 1/8 of an inch below the back box, which would work, but I think we can get away with a bit higher than that and get some dirt on it, I guess, because I failed to clean this properly. So I'm going to get this out of the way, grab my tools, and stick my head in frame. Let's say hang down by 1/16 or so of an inch. Now that we have that taken care of, we can get the actual screws in there. They'll go in easier and have less risk of splitting the wood. And I think I've damaged enough wood on this game. Yeah, that's on there pretty good. And then, very nice. The transfer of the game's internal electronics also came with a small video production upgrade as well. Since I've increasingly addressed the camera during this project, I decided to put 2 cameras to work. One focusing closely on the work being done, and one that lets me address you guys directly. In my opinion, this was a great idea, since not only does it give a more personal experience, it also fills in part of the gap if I were to, for example, somehow manage to lose the main footage of part of the project, despite the fact that I'm certain I recorded it. Although it's not like that happened at any point, of course. Alright, so now something a little maybe unfortunate is that all of these cable mounts here have to be taken off because the screws attaching the cable mounts also hold on the ground plane. Hi! How are you doing? There are a few pieces of glass still in here, which of course will be fun to deal with. Oh, I just found a number 5, I believe. I did discover that the particular type of carpeting that I have is particularly difficult to vacuum little tiny glass shards off of, so that was a fun discovery. Whoa. It's missing the end. It's missing the nylon end that's supposed to hit the... Okay, I wondered why it wasn't working very well. Now I know. Did she just bite me? Soft. Baby is soft. Hi. And I just realized I was basically petting my microphone, so I'm sorry for what that sounded like. Is she trying to eat my hair? Why are you eating my hair? You're a little weirdo. Stop. Hey, 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 stop eating my hair. Don't do that. Oh, it's attached somewhere. And I strongly suspect it's attached under the boards. How fun. Well, I guess we're gonna have to take them off. I'll start with just this one, just because I had a hunch there was a screw under this. Yep, there's a screw right there. So let's take that out. Is that everything? Is that all the screws we had to take out? Let's see if I can... Oh! We're ready to move it. Okay, before we move it... oh wait, I gotta take this fuse off. Okay. The fuse puller successfully pulled the fuse. Okay. Never you mind. I guess I'm going to have to take this off too. These being the brackets that hold the insert panel closed. Okay. Okay. And okay. Some glass fell out. I'm not surprised whatsoever. Just tapped it a little bit so that any remaining glass stuck in there would hopefully fall out. And I think I succeeded there. Just get the wires out of the way. I think we're good there. So now I can pick it up and deposit it inside of the new one. And we're in, sort of. Still gotta fix this. Okay, that's good. I'll just center this a bit better than it was. Yeah, I think we are where we need to be. So let's get a few of these screws in here, and then I'll probably adjust the camera angle. That's my driver slipping. That's me dropping the screw. And that is attachment. Let's do the rest. I had dinner and I binged a few episodes of Zombieland Saga. It's really good, by the way. And now it's time to finish putting this thing on, getting the driver board hooked back up, and then figuring out what to do next. Like that, and then we get our screws, of which we will need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. So let's put those right there and take care of this. As always, I'll tighten those once I have all of them in. And that one's in. Now we can get everything plugged back in. To those unaware, the nice thing about these connectors is that on the board, one of the pins is actually missing for at least most of these. And then one of the, well, at least one of the connectors, one of the pins on the connector is also not populated by a wire. And conveniently enough, there's a little plug, we call that a key, right where the missing pin is on the board. That means you can only plug this in one way and you can't do it wrong. And then there's this one, which doesn't have that. How fun. Now, you may be noticing this one singular cable right here is not the same style as everything else. And the uninitiated among you might look at this and think, well, that must be a specialty cable for some sort of specialty connection. No, this was somebody's repair job. If you look at where it connects on the board, there is distinctly a lack of header pins, where the header pins being all these white connectors. There's basically nothing, just a bunch of pads, rather burnt looking pads, I would add, and these wires are soldered directly onto this board, meaning you can never actually disconnect it. This is actually a very common problem on pinball machines, particularly System 11s. This is the connector that brings the power to all the GI on the playfield and on the insert panel. And you know how I was saying incandescent bulbs take a lot of electricity? Well, those circuits pull a ton. There's 4 circuits and each one has a 5 amp fuse for 20 amps in total. And this connector is infamous for just not being rated high enough to carry all of that current, which means you will encounter a lot of games that have the GI connector burnt to a crisp. Now, this can be addressed in a number of ways, one of which is to replace the connector with a newer, higher quality version. Trifurcon pins is what we use. I'm not sure if that's the current name for them or if that was an older name. I might have to check up on that. But replacing the connector pins with something a little bit better is one of the recommended solutions. In fact, I'll have to go over this sometime, maybe when we're doing another board. Maybe I'll do this as a proper repair job at some point in the future. But these connectors that I'm putting in right now, I guess I don't have any examples because I plugged them all in. Here we go. This is an IDC connector, insulation displacement connector. And basically it has a couple of thin little forks in it that the wire gets tapped into. It breaks into the insulation, makes contact with the wire, and it's a cheap and relatively easy way of adding a connector onto a group of wires. However, there's not the best connection there. And anything from excessive current to just excessive shock from movement or anything like that can cause those pins to fail. Not even pins, just, you know. And so that type of connector is a pretty common failure point, but particularly for GI, because the GI takes so much electricity going through it that those insulation displacement connections just can't handle it. They heat up, heat causes resistance, results in more, and before you know it, your board is pretty much scorched, and you have to replace the connectors or else your playfield will be permanently dark. Anyway, that has been my pinball electronics history lesson for today. Let's put this thing together. I needed a table to work at, and I didn't have one because I'm using the good one that I have. So I'm using the old Backbox. It works, so why not? No? No. Oh wait, it's in there. I'm stupid. I'm trying to attach the fuse, and I was thinking, oh, there's a specific screw, because it was a Phillips screw. So which one am I going to use? Well, the screw is still in the fuse holder, so okay. So I'm just going to remount that where it goes. That seems pretty solid. Now we can put the fuse back in place. It's just a standard 1¼ inch cartridge fuse. You can get these from the hardware store in a pinch. Now let's put the bridge rectifier back on for, I believe this is for, is this for solenoids or is this, no, this is for the lamp matrix. And this giant capacitor is also for the lamp matrix. So now it's just going to be a matter of getting some more of these hex-headed screws in there. And how many should we do? I mean, it's going to be 1 in this corner, 2. We don't even need that one up there. Maybe I'll put one in the middle. I don't think the middle ever had one. And then, of course, we're also going to have to reinstall all of these, hang on, all of these cable clamps as well. This one should be fitting, okay, so like that. And those will do most of the work to hold this panel in place. System 11s do have a lot of wires. Oh, that was fun. That was wonderful. Well, I have to hurry up and get that out of there before I forget it exists. Okay. Gotcha. Come on. It goes right there. What else do we have? We got this one, this one, this one, and this one. Looks like 4 of them. So now that we got the boards and the backplane in place, let's handle the knocker. We love handling knockers. So this is a knocker. It's a very simple device. It's just a solenoid that fires this iron core right into this metal plate. And it makes an obnoxious popping noise, and we love it. I mean, some people don't, but I sure do. It signifies that you earned a free game. My understanding of history is that this was originally put in place, well, partly to make a noise to signify adding a credit, but also to add an extra coil to the game to have an excuse to have a spare in case one of them fails on the playfield. An operator can just pull this one out and use it elsewhere. It probably served a good function at the time, but now it's just known for being the noisy thing, which we still love. And then there's Stern games which replace it with the screech noise, which some of us don't love. Anyway, this one, the core is missing something. If you're familiar with this assembly, you'll know there should be a nylon insert sticking out the top. I have no idea where mine went. And I looked for spares in about 5 minutes and I didn't find any of those. So I'm going to have to order a new one in order to make up the difference. It'll have to go on the list of things I need to order for this game, but it'll function without it. It'll be a little bit hit or miss whether or not you hear the knock, but you know, it'll live. So let's get it installed. Okay, so I'm gonna just go ahead and put the strike plate on now. And apparently scratch my hand on this audio connector. Other screw is going to be even worse. That's going to be like right over the soundboard. Anyway, that one's on. And then we'll do the other one. Ow. Yep, scratch myself. And then this we'll put as far to the side as possible. So like this. I suppose we'll put our broken core here. Yeah, put it this direction. Just to have something. I think you need the plunger in a coil when it fires. Something about the amount of power draw or something. So I'll just make sure that it's in there. And then the last, actually I should leave this up because then we can actually reach the last one. The next thing I wanted to take care of is the ground routing, something I'm notorious for forgetting. The ground strap that runs around the back box connects to a small peg that goes next to one of the back box bolts. That peg allows an easy connection to another strap that runs down the neck into the bottom of the cabinet. So the entire game's grounding is all technically one piece. So let's take care of that. The peg, which specifically is a screw that I definitely got somewhere. Oh my God. Oh my God. It was blending in with the floor. This is the bolt. It's a tiny little thing. Goes in through the bottom. It's about 2 inches to the left of the bolt over here, and then 3/4 of an inch forwards. So let's do that. It's 2 inches, and then from the hole there, it's like here. Okay, now we know. And prior to drilling, let's make sure we're not drilling through wires, shall we? That took longer than expected. So I'm going to call that good as it is. And then we can start handling the ground strapping itself. It will be going underneath our back box corner brackets and underneath the washer plates. I don't think they actually did that on the original. Ours is actually going to be better grounded than the original, technically speaking. So it'll start here, go under our brackets. I will staple it to the sides and roof of the cabinet, and then we will come back. This is not even in frame, is it? We'll come back to the other corner. Anyway, I'll probably have to move the camera shortly. Very easy, just makes that hole. So I'll just put it through there. You can already see how this is going. And what I'm going to do, I think I already said this, is I'm going to put it under the brackets. Of course, that means we'll have to take the brackets off. Fortunately, it's pretty easy. I wonder how many times I have now put this thing together and taken it apart. Did that bolt just despawn? Oh. Okay, removed. Just long enough to get this thing on there, which I guess I'll put like here. The ground strapping is attached with staples, and this process ended up being delayed by a slight bit due to a problem known as I couldn't find my staple gun. Fortunately, I found it. This might end up curving a bit or being a bit off center. Maybe I'll do it intentionally. I'll like curve it over here to, how far do we want it to go? Like here. I'll curve it over here. And then that way, when we get over here, it's going to be good enough to fit on underneath the bracket without interfering with the bolts, but it's still going to look nice and straight all the way up. Where did you go now? That one comes off. That one came off easier than the bottom for some reason. Okay, I think I know what I'm going to do here. I am going to bring this one straight over about this far. Then I will first give myself a bit more room, or maybe a lot. Then I will make a right turn here and attach it there. Maybe I'll have to go upside down. That worked. What I want to do here is I want it to go down here to where it's right next to the hole, the vent hole. We are going to be putting a vent grill over here, cut to custom size, a little bit smaller than the original. And right here is where it can overlap, so that that too can be part of the grounding system. You might already see where we're going with it. These were both off center and they went halfway into the hole. That turned out terribly, but I'm not going to worry about it. So I'm going to remove this screw and then right angle this one right over to there and then put the screw back in. directly onto our strap. What the heck was that? Hold it down good. Okay, that went fine. Or I could miss. Let's put those bolts in, or let's do the thing that we're doing. And fit it in there just like the rest of them. We're in the home stretch now. I guess this is home over here, and we're stretching to it. This one here is being a little more of a challenge getting it in place. I got an idea. That worked. Let's get that one on first and tighten it. Here's where you insert that "nobody's gonna know" meme. I guess what we have left is the lock, which I think I left out in the garage a long time ago, and the U-channel along the bottom, which is going to come with its own challenge because the routing that I had to do, due to the lack of a top groove, due to my own oversight, means there's not a lot of space for screws on the bottom. But I have a couple of ideas how to solve that too, so I'll take care of it. This is the metal U-channel, used from the original and soon to be used for ours. It has 4 holes in the bottom of it. They were originally attached using these 3/8 inch wood screws. Now, I actually picked up some new screws for this purpose. Mine are also 3/8 inch, but instead of being wood screws, they're machine screws. And we're going to attach them using these T-nuts in the bottom of the back box. The advantage to doing this is that machine screws with T-nuts are going to hold a bit tighter than wood screws in this situation, especially because the bottom of the back box is a bit weaker now due to the groove we had to cut. So this change that we're making is going to make things a bit stronger. Also, having this bar in there makes it a bit stronger as well. Putting this in place is relatively simple. We simply have to mark a few holes. My other scratch awl keeps phasing in and out of existence, so I have to use this one for right now. But we mark the holes, then we'll drill them. The U-channel has one shallow side and one deep side. I'm not sure why that is, but I'm going to put the deeper side on the outside. Partly because I think that's the way it ought to be. Partly because it makes room for the speakers on the panel. And partly because this side looks nicer. So now that we have our holes in place, 3/16 inch by the way, we can get these mounted as soon as I find a screwdriver. Oh, hey, a baby. Hey. Hey, look, I found a baby. You're a little baby. Did you come to see my project? I bet you did. I bet you did. Baby, go purr. It is good to try to press T-nuts in place when you are using them. It does less damage to the thing that you are attaching with the T-nuts. Depending on the situation, there are various ways of doing this. When it comes to really sensitive stuff like the top side of a playfield, a lot of times we will put a larger surface with a hole there. Sometimes even like a felt surface or something like that, and then use the entire power of the screw to pull the T-nut up on the bottom. It's really kind of hard to work with you on there, but oh. And the last one is by your foot. And it goes right there. And now my screwdriver, which is under your butt, and let's put some screws in. As always, I'll put all the screws in and then I will tighten them afterwards. Makes it easier if any of the holes are off center or whatever. With all of them loose, you can kind of adjust the piece so that you're able to get it in. And final one. That one goes in. 2, 3, and 4. Now you might be looking at this and wondering, well, if there's T-nuts on there, aren't they going to stick out the bottom just a tiny bit and make it so it doesn't sit flush against the lower cabinet? Well, actually, they kind of pull in a bit. Like I think I've said, the wood is a bit on the soft side, and the T-nuts do kind of sink in a tiny bit when you tighten them good. So that is actually not going to be an issue. Where did you come from? And just find where the bolt hole goes. It distinctly occurs to me that I talked about putting another T-nut in so that I would be able to put the other Backbox bolt in. And I never got around to actually doing that. Who knows whether I ever will. Well, the Backbox is on, possibly permanently this time. I can't really imagine a reason I would have to remove it again. So now it's time to rehook everything up. To hook everything back up. To reattach, I'm just going to do it. Okay, this is going to be fun, isn't it? Oh no. Okay, I got something. I got something. Had my ground strap for a second there, and then it disappeared on me. Who knows whether I'll be able to recover that or not. Maybe I'll have to raise the playfield for that. I might have to reattach these somewhere. I'll admit I don't remember where they go. But let's see where the rest of these go. Let's see if I can figure it out from memory. This one goes to the power supply. This one most absolutely plugs in here. This is where those keys come in very handy. What I was talking about earlier, where one of the holes in the connector is blocked off so that it only plugs in one way. And with all different size connectors, that means for the most part, you never really run into a situation where you don't know what to plug in where. Mostly. Sometimes it does kind of happen. This one, we got 3 on one side And then we got 8 on the other side. Looks like this one. Feel like this is all cabinet stuff in this connector. So there's going to be a whole nother one. Okay, it is entirely possible I might have to pull the glass. What did I find? Oh, look what I found. Which I'll stick on there. And I might as well grab a key from somewhere. Wait. Oh my God. Really? This is the frickin' correct knocker plunger. How did that, well, where did this one come from? Okay, whatever. I'll put it in, like, later. You guys can go down there. Okay. Where did the rest of our wires disappear to? Conveniently, I can reach everything if I have the playfield in this position. Not so conveniently, there's a snag someplace. This one was stuck on something for sure. Is that everything? I think that's everything. So let's do this one at a time. Here's a bunch of red and yellow. Quite obviously, lamp matrix. 2 lower playfield lamps. Should be this one. I didn't even look at the key for that one. One of these wires goes up here someplace, and the rest of them go into the interconnect. This one has the key on the end, which is right here. Let's see, this is a 12-volt connector, so that would be most likely to drop targets. Up next, everything else, basically. This one is a plug. Oh, this is for the knocker. And I dropped it. I do frequently mention how skilled I am at dropping things. And all... Oh, that's a cat. They're not supposed to go in there. Your baby. Okay, there was one little singular connector here, which goes over here. And this one goes right here. So yeah, this one has to, I'm gonna have to disconnect the sound cable and then just throw this in here and in here and in here. And all this goes in there. And all this goes in there. That is a GI connector. Specifically, that's a GI connector that somebody replaced and never put a key in. However, we can deduce which direction is correct. You can see several wires not populated on the end here. We can presume the key would have been one of these, and it wouldn't have been one of these three that do have a wire. And if you look at where the key is, it's the third from the end. So we know the key is not going to go where a wire is. So it goes that direction. GI power to insert. Yeah, these connectors here are going to be our new thing that we created. So those are going to be left unplugged. This now goes right there. And, oh, found it. That goes there. That goes there. That goes there. That goes there, and that, let's make sure that's going in the right direction. Yes, it is. That goes there. Let's take our ground wire and a screwdriver, which I can totally find. Where the heck is it? Where was I last using the screwdriver? It's black and yellow. It stands out like the Obsidian High uniforms. Why can I not find it? And let's get it in there. Okay. I do want to make sure that this back glass is going to fit correctly. That's probably something I should have tested long ago, but better late than never. I did hold it up there, and I am at least pretty confident it is going to fit. But it's also an excuse to do something incredibly satisfying, which is open up our package. As I mentioned in part 1, the original back glass that was on this game when I got it was itself a reproduction. Now that I mention it, I'm not sure if I actually said that in the video or not, but it's true. So at least I can take consolation in the fact that I did not destroy this game's original back glass. Although the fact that it was a brand new one is probably annoying in its own right. Now that is incredibly shiny. I like that a lot. The others are, of course, not shiny, but that's not really a concern of mine right now. They're a little bit scratched, maybe? Not too bad. I'm not going to care about it. I'm just going to wipe these off, and I'm going to call that good. Should probably find a rag to do that with. Hang on. I'm not sure what the heck this is, but it'll work. Okay. Let's get this thing taken out. I don't think that even worked. There we go. Take out a bit more. Okay, go. There we go. Won't need that open anymore. So, how do we do this? We're just gonna like go like this? Yeah, that works. How do I hold this now? Like this. Granted, it is upside down on the camera, but I think it looks terrific, as expected from a brand new repro. But anyway, let's get this trim on. The trim pieces will have to be cut. Fortunately, I have something to cut them right over there. But I am going to put the bottom piece on first. For that, I'm going to turn this around. I will admit to being incredibly nervous, even though I shouldn't be, because I have done this before, and believe it or not, I know what I am doing. Okay, apparently I have to cut this too. The correct way to cut the lift rim to size is with a saw. If I were to guess, I would say a chop saw with a metal cutting blade would be the best choice. But, like the smart person that I sarcastically claim to be, I used aviation snips and mangled it just as much as you'd think I would. Can I just, oh, what? Okay, I bent it a bunch once I finally could, and it broke off. So that worked. I did, however, kind of mangle it, and that's not a good look. So I might have to tweak this a tiny bit. I think there's some sort of tape that you're supposed to put on the back glass itself prior to putting that piece of trim on there. And I don't have whatever tape that is, but for now this is going to be good enough because it stays on. Frankly, it's a little tighter than some of them that I've seen from the factory. And the side trim, of course, fits on super easy. Okay, that just fell right off. That just fell right off. Wonder if I could just... that's an idea. I didn't think of that a second ago, but if I put the trim underneath the surface of the lift molding, it actually kind of holds it on. So that might be a solution, and I might not need tape after all. Let's see how that goes. I'll do the same over on this side. And now, how is it over here? It's weirdly short, actually. It doesn't entirely reach all the way to the end. But I got an idea. First thing is we will cut these. One on that side and one on that side. Now we have these extra pieces that are left over. So now we'll take this one, go all the way to one side with it, put it on, and then we'll just take this piece, cut it to this size right here, and then slide that on. There's a little bit of a seam, but it doesn't really matter that that's there because that's going to be hidden underneath the top surface. So that's pretty much good. Let's test fit it. A little bit of a tight fit on one side. Gee, I wonder why that happened. But it fits. That means installing our new insert panel is quite literally the final step. And I'm excited. What if I
am the Black Knight.
I knew there was something that wasn't going to go very smoothly, and I guess it was this. When things go wrong, they can be taken not as a failure, but as an opportunity to learn something, or at least reaffirm something that we should have already known, like acknowledging voltage losses or doing practical testing prior to making big design decisions, Or, well, keeping better track of my video footage. But it wouldn't be an Ellie Mechanical video if I didn't make a few horrible mistakes in it. I will admit to being a little discouraged after I realized the LED strip plan didn't work. But as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, I've already made plans to fix the flaws and improve on the original design. With an entire catalog of components at my fingertips, I've got the power, and I've got the might. Stay tuned for part 4, when I beat the Black Knight.